Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching right around the world. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back for another week. This time it's the SRL F1 2019 social race. Another social race, another week here at the beautiful Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. And we have got some pretty handy names in the lineup tonight. Righty, Wilco, HSV, Jacob, Crumpkin, Kane, however you say that one. Rick Oztech is back for another week, so is our favourite Kiwi, Mighty Murph, and also Compact as well, as we see the cars coming out onto the track for the first time in this qualifying session, an 18-minute qualifying session, followed by a 25% race around this beautiful Belgian circuit. First built in 1921, known for its unpredictable weather. And Michael Schumacher was pretty handy around here as well. And, well, not quite as handy as that, I tell you.
We've already got a crash.
Oh, we've got a crash here as I welcome my co-commentator. Joining us in the commentary box, replacing Jason Wilkinson, is Bradley Marshall. Brad, good evening to you.
Thanks, mate. Decided to jump out of the car from Germany and decided, I don't really like these 2019 spec cars, and I thought, maybe I'd do with Martin Brundle and jump into the commentary box this week.
Great to have you, mate. Always a pleasure. As Righty, well, he didn't last too long, did he, in this qualifying session, as we ride on board now with HSV currently.
Compact's gone.
And is Compact gone as well? What's happening there, Brad?
Eau Rouge. It's caught out two drivers already in, I'd say, the first 2 minutes of qualifying here, which is quite strange.
Well, unbelievable stuff. Well, we've only got 8 of them, Brad, and we've lost 2 so far, and we haven't even gone 2 minutes in this session.
I know, quite wild, to be honest. Eau Rouge is definitely a much trickier corner to take on this game. Very, very unsettling through the middle as you go over the rise. Seems like it's caught out a few drivers right now, and who knows, might catch out some more.
Well, if you can just get, if you can keep all 4 wheels and tyres pointing in the right direction, you might just be able to set a quick lap. As Jason Wilkinson on the comments, don't forget to get your comments in on the live stream tonight. Wilco just saying there that going flat on cold tyres, always a risk through Eau Rouge. And Brody is also racing tonight, everybody's favourite Taswegian, but he's missed quali, unfortunately, Brad, but he will be with us for the race tonight.
He's a very strong competitor. Been racing against him for a few years, and he's always pushed me to the limit, so it'll be exciting to see what he can do from the back of the grid.
It will be interesting indeed as we take a look now at the, we just get some telemetry up on the screen as we take a look at this man whose name I cannot pronounce. We're going to go with Crumpets. I reckon that will be his name throughout the course of the evening. But Crumpkin Canio, all capitals, if you don't mind. Let's see what this man can do as we ride on board with him during his outlap. We saw Wilco, and he's run very wide there indeed. And gee whiz, it's not where you want to be on this circuit as he comes around now. He's running wide again. These cars look to be understeering like pigs at the moment, Brad.
They are very understeering cars. I don't know what it is or what's happened in the few years that I haven't played, but something about these cars, they're just very unsettling and very uneasy to drive.
They certainly are indeed, and of course I think you missed F1 2018, Brad, if I'm not mistaken, and doing very nicely on F1 2019. Going by your rank in the online lobbies, as there's a yellow flag in Sector 2.
Mighty Murph just spun in the spoon.
So Mighty Murph has had an incident there. We don't want to lose another one, do we? We're still not even 5 minutes into the session.
Not even 5 minutes into the session, and we're close to losing another person. It's crazy. You wouldn't think you'd lose this many on a dry track, like dry qualifying as well. I think more your wet qualifying, I would have expected the crashes, but on a dry track, I wasn't really expecting to have 2 people out already.
No, like we said, a track known for its unpredictable weather. As, 2 more have joined the comments. They've joined the party here tonight. James Barton says, racing on a controller is hard work. I'm sure you can attest to that, Brad. And Big Alan Shep's join us. He said, remember, 2 righties don't make a wrong. And boy, this man, just a comic visionary. He was taking the mickey out of Jason at work today, apparently, Brad, because our man Wilco currently getting over a case of the flu. And Big Shep just letting him know all about it. But great to have your company. 5 people now watching this stream here tonight. And, well, we must be doing something right, Brad. We've got at least half a dozen people watching us.
Yeah, we've got those numbers cranking already, only a few minutes into the session. So it'll be nice to see where it can progress from there. With a few people already in commenting. James Barton last week said birthday boy for the win, and got the win, so I appreciate that. And I appreciate everyone else that wished happy birthday wishes as well, along with that.
Yes, of course, the perfect way to celebrate turning 34 last week. Of course, your win in treacherous conditions at Hockenheim, mirroring the real-life race, of course, which was also in changeable conditions, as Crumpen has cranked it up, and he's currently set a 1:49.143. So we're wondering when we're going to see some times on the board at the moment, as Dean running a little bit wide through, was that Puon, I think, that corner there as he comes down now. Turns 12 and 13 through the final sector of this circuit. So he had a bit of a cider lap early on, came into the pits and whacked a set of soft tyres on, and now I wouldn't say he's abusing the track limits. He's certainly using them though, Brad.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's definitely pushing that car to its limits. Like, it's unbelievable how some people can drive those cars. Like, I am honestly astonished at anyone that is able to handle these cars. As in the first sector too, we just had Crump, throwing it back to the 90s there. We just had a moment up coming off the Camel Straight. He may have lost a part of his front wing, not 100% sure.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that, Brad.
In the third sector as well.
And there's yellows absolutely everywhere in the first, second and third sectors. Now sectors 2 and 3. We'll keep an eye on that as HSV using up all of his fuel, battery and talent there to set a 1:45.674. And I reckon that's closer to the times we're going to be seeing here tonight for pole position, as he's good enough to let his colleague there, Wilco, through heading up to Eau Rouge. And we've got some good news. We've got more drivers. I think we need more drivers joining us here tonight, as Rick Oztech has also retired from the session. And, well, that's another one down. Another one bites the dust. And but good news, Brad, we've got Hef, Alex Brody and Driving Pro all in the lobby waiting to join for the race. So they're going to miss the qualifying session, but we'll have 4 extra drivers come race time tonight.
They will miss the qualifying session, but they do get that free choice of tyre. And you never know, the opposite strategy may just work around here. You don't really know. Say tyres may fall off the cliff, they may not. It's only a 25%, but it'll be interesting to see, what Hef can do, what Brody can do, what Driving Pro can do, all from the back. These guys that are out here setting lap times are going to be starting on those tyres, so it'll be interesting to see what can happen, as Crump's just retired now as well.
So Crump is also retired from the session, so he cannot do better than a 1:49.143 with just 9 minutes remaining in the session. And boy, Mighty Murph heading through Eau Rouge and Radiol. That's Radiol, actually. Who could forget that meme from last year? But boy, I think that was that Crumpkin who was in a bad way coming out of Eau Rouge there, Brad?
I believe so. I jumped on board with Murph and I just seen a car veering back on track. So I believe it was Crump that was retired and the car's automatically veered into on track. So lucky that it ghosted for Murph, because that could have quite potentially been the end of his session as well. Could
have been an absolute disaster there coming up through Eau Rouge, but we saw Murph there getting very close to the tyre barriers as he comes through this third sector. He's yet to set a quick time, as thank you James Barton, Crump has just crashed and we caught the back end of that incident, but he is out. So in this qualifying session with 8 minutes to go, as we watch Mighty Murph using every bit of the track, you can see the marshal there on the left just getting a great view of that, as he comes down towards the final couple of corners here through Blanchimont, heading towards the old bus stop chicane. Down 8th gear, look at that, 324 kilometres an hour, harnessing the energy of the battery. Through the last couple of corners, I don't think it's called the bus stop anymore, but still, call me old school, it's still the bus stop to me as Mighty Murph.
Still the bus stop, it's still the bus stop. And Murph's going quicker with a 1:45.294.
So Mighty Murph into pole position, provisional pole position. And there's that's a pretty handy lap from Mighty Murph, a 1:45.294, 4/10 clear of HSV, and we might leave Murph there for a tick as Jason Wilkinson is potentially on a hot lap here, and he's looking good, Brad.
He is looking very good. I jumped on board with him when he was coming through Coulon, and he's kept this car together. He had a little hot lock up at the first corner, but everything's been straight so far, so it'll be interesting to see if he can go quicker as they cross the line. So,
don't forget, if you're watching the live stream as well, Brad, reminding our viewers, keep your comments coming in like I always say.
And Jace had a massive lock up into the bus stop and all the time has gone there.
Jace has had a bad run there as Jacob slots in a 1:45.5. Wilco there, that mistake costing him in the final sector. And a 1:46.176. There's still time though. If he's got enough fuel, he can have another run. And if he can harness enough battery power and set it up to max fuel and hot lap, he might be able to just sneak into the 1:45s. In fact, I'm sure he can sneak into the 1:45s. He's pretty handy around here, pretty handy in general. And I was just about to say, before we saw that mistake, Brad, to everybody watching the stream tonight, keep your comments coming in. And don't forget, we are voting for the best livery here tonight. So the best livery, we're running the multiplayer cars. We're not running the 2019, well, they're 2019 spec cars, but we're not running the 2019 team liveries. And, well, I've got to admit, I reckon in practice tonight, Brad, Jason's livery was red and black. Now we're seeing black and gold.
Yeah, it's like he's done the old meme from a few years ago. Is it blue and white, or is it black and gold? Yeah, he's made quite a decent change to his car, to be honest. I was a fan of red, but that yellow/gold is looking quite smick. Well, quite good.
Not that you know much about AFL football where you live in your part of the world, but I did tell him off air that it looked a bit like the Essendon Bombers. For all you Victorians out there, or you New South Welshmen and Taswegians and Kiwis who have got no idea about AFL football, that is a team which we love to hate, of course, but I shouldn't say that, should I? But I reckon the red and black didn't look too bad as we take a look at Wilco, who's having another crack at this. Somebody off to the side there, getting out of his way as he comes through the final couple of corners. And he's done it again, Brad. He's run wide and now he's coming into the pits.
I don't believe he was actually on a run. He was running no ERS then, so I believe he was just coming in for in lap. If I know Jason, like I have the past few years, he's going to leave this right to the last second to get his lap out. He is methodical when it comes to a pole lap time. He is really methodical, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him on pole.
No, either would I. And if you're a betting man, I reckon it's a pretty good bet. He's very Ayrton Senna-like, isn't he? When we saw Ayrton Senna many, many years ago, Brad, before you were born, he would just come out at the last second, the last minute of qualifying, and bang in an amazing lap. You and I both fans of the great man, of course, but he just could find, the really good drivers can find a couple of tenths, Brad, but the great drivers seem to find even up to half a second, don't they? They can just find the time when they need to.
Yeah, they definitely do. It amazes me how much people are able to push the car. Ayrton Senna was a genius, and so was Michael Schumacher, but seeing like racing against these guys online, they are able to pull a few tenths out here or there, and it completely makes the difference. You could go from sitting on pole like I was last week and then get knocked down to third just as quickly. It's anyone's ball game, really, so it'll be quite interesting. As I said as well, Jason coming out at the very last second for his lap, so I think we're in for a good quali session here, a good little battle.
Well, with 3.5 minutes to go, let's just recap the order here at Spa, here in Belgium for tonight's F1 2019 SRL social race. It is Mighty Murph, the Kiwi, with currently sitting in pole position, P1 with a 145.294. Then it's Jacob 1995, my good mate, who I punted off at Monza in a fun race a couple of weeks ago. Brad, you may remember. And we did have a little bit. He's a very serious man, extremely competitive, and that's what we love about him, with a 145.5. So just 3 seconds behind Mighty Murphy. And then it's HSV. Oh, I'm not really happy with that lap. A 145.674. We love you, Dean. As we look at Dean, actually we're riding with Dean at the moment. DRS open. The battery working as he starts his hot lap. And it's a long lap around here too, of course, so he'll probably have another run. He'll have this run and possibly another run, of course, as well. And then Wilco, who's reliably informed us that the race is a full wet race. This track known for its dodgy weather, and we're going to get a wet race, and I've got to say I'm not too unhappy about that. It's going to be absolutely carnage. As Jace says, I accidentally left Parc Ferme off so we can change our setups. Oops. So we're going to see a very interesting race. You said it was an interesting qualifying session, Brad, but the race is going to be even more so.
The race is going to be a very spicy meatball. You know, we had last week in Germany, we had a wet race, and it was one of the best races I've ever had in my life, to be honest. And Dean nearly put it in the wall there.
Dean there with, that might have been a front wing end plate just coming off, and he's run completely wide there. I don't think he's going to get his lap invalidated there, but still pushing the track limits. Look at that, 4th gear, down into 3rd, back up to 4th. He is so on the limit, Crofty. As Alex there says, naughty boy, off the track.
The lap's gone. The lap is gone. Oh, hold on. Jacob's just crashed.
And
HSV's crashed.
And my goodness! Sorry, Brad, you got a bit excited there, but boy,
I did.
You said his lap was ruined. It's sure ruined now. He's sitting there with bits and pieces hanging off the car. As Alex Adams, I love you. He says, naughty boy. I think we've got Alex for the race. Alex, comment right now. Bigger crash. I sound like, what is it, David Valsecchi, the GP or F2 commentator? Bigger crash. Oh, my God. But anyway, here comes Wilco and through Eau Rouge. So, well, what's that? 6 drivers. 6 out of the 8 drivers have either crashed or retired from this race.
Mighty just improves to a 144.718 as well. So Jace, got to find 2 seconds.
So he's got to find 2 seconds, a little bit under 2 seconds, 1.5 seconds there or thereabouts, with just 13 seconds remaining in this qualifying session. Oh, and he's just pinched a brake there. And that's not going to help him, Brad, on his final run.
Oh, no, it's really not. A little pinch of the brakes, a little lock up, and it just throws the lap out. Like, you have oh, that's rough. Oh, he managed to hold it. That is one of the scariest corners to go flat around, and somehow he's managed to hold it. He may be able to drag himself up higher on the grid, but I don't know if it's going to beat Mighty Murph.
Currently in P4 is our man Wilco, and boy, you do need to be brave, don't you, going around this track? It's, he's so close to that wall, and you need big balls, that's for sure. Or was it James Hunt that said that? I keep getting those two mixed up. But here we go through the final lap here, the final sector. Jason with a 146.176. Can he improve? Can he get pole position? Or a front row start here tonight? He comes out of the last corner, using up the battery, the fuel, everything he can, all of his talent, and it's only good enough. Still good enough, I should say, for P2, but he misses out on pole position here tonight. And he is 5 tenths off of Mighty Murph. So Mighty Murph, the only man in the 1 minute 44s so far. And now Wilco's finished. We'll ride on board. Can Murph improve? I think he might have eased off, has he? Yep, well, no one can beat him now.
As you would, if you, if you were trying to push for another lap, but the guy didn't get you in second, of course, I'd say you'd slow down. Make sure that you don't wear the tyres as much on the way back to either the finish line or the pit lane, whatever he decides to do here. I think Jason will be a bit angry on himself with the lock-up going into the few corners before long. I think if it wasn't for that little lock-up, it could have been a lot closer.
Well, there you have it, the end of qualifying. And Jason Wilco saying, Kiwi Brew, too good, eh? And he'll be very, very happy indeed. As we recap, we take a look at the final results here in qualifying as we get ready for what will be a full wet race. Make a cup of tea, put the kids to bed, kick the dogs outside if you need to. In fact, don't kick the dogs outside. It's too cold. Kick the missus out instead and keep the dogs inside as we take a look at the qualifying results. It's Mighty Murph. He'll be pretty impressed with that, eh? With a 144.718. 4/10 of a second. That is massive, isn't it? Ahead of Jason Wilco in P2. Jacob, my good mate and long-time friend, a further 8/10 back off of Murph there in third. A front row start for him, or second row start, I should say. HSV won't be too happy with that. And then after that, Crumpkins, Rick Oztech, Righty and Compact all crashing out, Brad, as we get ready to go racing here tonight.
Oh, and it is belting down. It is horrible conditions right now, as I can see. But, yeah, quite an odd qualifying. We had majority of them crash out, and then it come down to a two-way fight. Dean was still in the fight. If it wasn't for hitting the wall and losing the end plate, I think he would have gone on for a competitive lap time as well. And our grid grows as well now. So this is going to be really interesting.
So there we go. We had perfect conditions for qualifying and half the field crashed out. So God knows what we're going to get here in a full wet race as we count down. And Alex just saying, that's not Brody talking. What? Yep, we've all experienced that, Alex. I thought it was Brody too, and boy, it's lots of fun when you get both of them in the party. As well, we've got the Hef Driving Pro, a couple of others in there as well, I think, as we are on the formation lap now here tonight. And we'll just let this formation lap go before we get the telemetry and the other bits and pieces up on the screen. And, you're a man that's had plenty of experience in all sorts of conditions. Brad, what is going through the driver's mind on this formation lap? Are they just looking to see where the grip is, where they can take the best racing lines to find the best pace in the early parts of this race?
100% that's what they'll be trying to do. It's going to be really tricky because everything they would have just learned in qualifying goes up on window as well. So braking margins are going to be a lot sooner rather than later. The grip levels are going to be completely different. So this is kind of the lap that they can get an eye in for it, but it's going to be a hectic start to the race. And I'm kind of getting 1998 flashbacks of Spa, so this could be really juicy.
Yep, that was a very famous race, that one. I remember sitting up for that race. But 11 laps around this circuit, 7 kilometres, one of the longer tracks on the racing calendar, if not possibly the longest. Usually 44 laps, but 11 here tonight. Just a 25% race. As we see the drivers, Mighty Murph there on pole position. He'll have the best view of things because he won't be...
You've got Jason spinning on the formation lap there.
Well, we've seen that happen before. I've seen David Coulthard spin many, many years ago on the formation lap. But who could forget that Grand Prix in 1998 where Michael Schumacher ran up the back of David Coulthard and he stormed into the pit lane. I don't know whether you've seen those highlights, Brad, but he stormed into the pit lane and the only thing I can remember from that was Murray Walker saying, "Oh, look at that, he's going to have it out with David Coulthard." And he just stormed into the pit lane and it might have been Ross Brawn who had to stop him, physically stop him from belting David Coulthard's head in, that very square head of his. But
he was a very angry man that day, Wingborn begging, as someone's just come flying around. Another spinner.
And we've got somebody off there. I'm not too sure who it is, but speaking of this field, we had 8 drivers for qualifying. We lost half of them, and now I think we've got 11 drivers getting ready for this race. The Hef and Driving Pro have joined us. I think Alex was meant to join us, but I can't seem to see him on the entry list. Hef, Alex, Brody, Cart Dude. Yes, that's the other one.
Yeah,
how can we forget Cart Dude? Here we go.
So it may have been Cart Dude that's been. I'm not entirely sure.
Here we go. We are ready to go racing here tonight. Jason's just let us know that he cannot see a thing. Green flag. We are ready to go racing here. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, pause. And it's go, go, go for Belgium. Here we go then. Mighty Murph gets a good start off the line, but Jason is right up near him. Mighty Murph holds the inside line. Jason on the outside there. HSV's made a position up as well. Jacob down to fourth. Somebody off at the back as we get ready.
Pro.
And Driving Pro's off at the back. Thank you, Brad, as we get ready to go through Eau Rouge. It's Mighty Murph, Jason Wilkinson, HSV. Oh, they've got to tread so carefully on this opening lap.
Wait, massive contact.
And there's a crash. There's a crash at the back. Cart Dude and Compact. We've lost 2 already. 9 drivers left. And Mighty Murph outbrakes himself. But have a look at the battle between Wilco and HSV here. Second and third. And look at that riding on board. You cannot see a thing. Down the inside goes HSV. And Jason runs wide. Look at that. Trying to get back on the track. It's absolute carnage. And this is everything we expected here tonight, Brad.
Definitely. It's lived up to the expectation. We had a wild start. Lost a few guys through Eau Rouge. And now we've got Jason and Dean, 2 of the fiercest riders to ever be on an F1 game going at it. So this is going to be really interesting to see how this plays out in these next 11 laps.
This is incredible, and those 2 scrapping, of course. Wilco and HSV has given Mighty Murph a chance to sneak away at the front. And Jason Wilkinson, you can see the back of the car just stepping out there as Jimmy Zachman 7 say, "Hey peeps, what's up?" Not much, brother. I'll tell you though, you're going to see an absolute spicy race, to quote Brad and Rob, my other mate too, who likes to say that particular word. As Wilco now, is he sizing up Mighty Murph for a move into the bus stop chicane here, Brad?
Oh, I believe so, but there is not a lot of grip, as you're seeing a lot of them run wide. Like I said, everything they would have learned in Poly has just gone out the window, and just trying to find the grip, trying to find when you can push and you can't push. It's going to be the biggest struggle of the race, I reckon.
So here we go, the end of lap 1. It's Mighty Murph leading Jason Wilco by just half a second there. And you can see the drivers, the visibility is absolutely terrible. They can't see anything through this spray. And then it's HSV in P3. We ride on board with Wilco now coming up through Eau Rouge. And you can visually see there is no grip at all. As Brad wants to know what happened to Brody. I think he might have made contact with Compact there. But we'll get that confirmed. And Jimmy, brother, what driver do you support in this year's F1 season? Well, I don't have a favourite, Jimmy, but I don't mind Daniel Ricciardo, but call me biased, being Australian. But, well, that was an interesting line there, wasn't it, Brad, from Wilco? He's just trying everything to find some extra grip out there tonight.
He definitely is. You've got to try and optimise everything in the wet. So, you know, if one line doesn't work, maybe try another line. We don't know. As we have 3 guys down the back of the field, Righty, Rico, and Driving Pro, all pit.
Here we go.
Rico lost it into the pits as well, also.
So we had Driving Pro there. You can see into the pit lane and out of it again in that beautiful livery. Don't forget to vote for your favourite livery if you're watching the live stream. Jimmy says, "Call me Zach." And that's okay, Zach. There we go. Rick Oztech as well coming out of the pits. So those boys on the back foot, just lap 2 at the moment out of 11. And they have had to make an early pit stop for some, well, I'm guessing a new front wing at least, as there's a yellow flag in Sector 1 and Driving Pro 73 is off again. And like you said, everything they learn in qualifying, although Driving Pro wasn't in qualifying, Brad, has gone out the window. As we take a look.
He's going to have to make another pit stop as well, as he's just lost another piece of his end plate. So this is going to put him down to be backed. So,
well, you're doing pretty good. Only Pierre Gasly could get lapped here at Belgium. Only joking, Pierre. We love you. C'est la vie. As Mighty Murph then, lap 3 out of 11. This race is flying by already. And there's another yellow flag in Sector 2. I reckon those marshals are going to be kept pretty busy. Busier than you, Brad Marshall. You see what I did there. But Mighty Murph then, lap 3 out of 11. Mighty Murph leads Wilco. There's a bit of a gap there. Back to Wilco now. And then it's HSV in P3. So 1, 2 and 3 all on your screen together. And you can just tell that the top 3 are breaking away from Jacob in P4 tonight, Brad.
Yeah, not surprising, to be honest. Jacob does not play this game as much as the others, I would say. But I'm getting flashbacks of last week with these three at the front here. Anything can happen, as we've seen in last week's race. So, yeah, we just don't know what could happen. I will report that I did see Trump, the guy from the 90s, spin on the start straight. So he's dropped back a further 32 seconds from the leader as well.
So let's have a look at this now. So Mighty Murph still your leader here tonight. And a 5-second penalty there from race control. Righty there for corner cutting. He's currently down in 8th position there. You can see the field spreading out. Like I said, these top three are just inching away, but Jacob's still keeping them honest though. There's a long way to go in this race. Only 8 seconds behind this leading trio of Mighty Murph in P1. The Kiwi there coming through the final part of this lap. Full speed, and is that a dry line I can see approaching, although it still seems pretty wet, Brad?
I believe it's a dry line coming, but I still say that it would be a fair while before it could be considered to put dries on. As we saw last week as well, even though it was drying up towards the end, it just wasn't dry enough to put on any dry tyres. So I believe this is going to be wet the whole way through. If Jason makes a move now,
here we go, as Mighty Murph, Jason just having a sneaky look there up through Eau Rouge. And that's a corner that, it's difficult to take in the dry. Never mind the wet, but now that'll let Wilco have a go. Let's ride on board now with Jason Wilkinson. They're side by side. Here we go. Can he make a move? He's looking down the outside. It's going to be a long way around the outside. Mighty Murph covers him off. And look at this battle. Is he going to do a bit of a crisscross move? But look at these conditions. We certainly won't be going to dry tyres, that's for sure. And we certainly won't be going to winters, I don't reckon here. Lap 4 out of 11, 11 lap race, 25% race here tonight in the SRL Social League. As a slight correction there from Wilco. All the while, he's just ever so just keeping it out. He nearly did a Charles Leclerc there, Brad, and aquaplane straight off the circuit.
Definitely. Kind of what Dean did in our qualifying, to be honest, but somehow he managed to keep it on the track. I noticed he's taking a lot of curbs, which, I mean, you're playing a dangerous game there in the wet. Probably best to stay off the curbs in the wet. So, but these three are all closing in on each other. The other thing that I just realised is they may not have all the pit stops, so this could get really juicy towards the end and tyre wear. So,
very interesting indeed, as Zach is tuning in from England, all the way from England. And he says Lewis Hamilton all the way. Gets in there, Lewis. That's right. We've got to be careful what we say here, because he has subscribed to our channel and we absolutely love having your company. Jimmy Zachman, a.k.a. Zach. Thank you for subscribing, mate, and we are back every time. I'm not sure what time it is in England, but we're back same time again each and every week. As look at this race now, lap 5 out of 11. Mighty Murph just maintaining that lead. And boy, did Wilco he seemed to make contact with the inside wall there at turn 1, Brad.
It definitely looked like it. Don't know whether it was just something wrong with the camera. It definitely looked like he had a... it's Murph's gone completely cut Eau Rouge there.
Oh, here we go. Murph, another mistake through Eau Rouge and what is it? I forget the name of that corner, but here we go. Camel Straight. Thank you very much for that. As he comes up now to Les Combes, and still no move there, but he's getting closer and closer. First, second and third all together. And Zach's watching this in Turkey on holidays on his summer break in his hotel lobby, not England. So that's good to know. And Zach, boy, we've got people tuning in from Turkey, Brad. We're going viral here tonight. How good is this? And how good is this battle at the moment?
This is fantastic. Like, these guys somehow are just showing that they are the best in at this craft driving in the wet. They
absolutely.
You could say that they're a bit of a rainmaster.
Look at this! Look at this! Righty and Rick Oztech have made contact. They've got pretty much exactly the same livery there. I think it's the default blue and orange. And my goodness me, we just caught the arse end of that incident, but they have both got damage. And, well, I reckon Rick Oztech couldn't make a pit stop. He's already been into the pits for damage in this race, but Righty he still managed to make the pit entrance where Rick Oztech had to keep going around as Crumpkin has retired from the race as well, so he crashed out of qualifying, and now he's crashed out of the race as Righty into the pits again. Or for the first time, I should say, it was Rick Oztech into the pits. There we go, 5-second penalty. You can see there the mechanics not allowed to make any changes to the car, Brad, as they add another front wing. And I've got to say, I hope they've got plenty of front wings spare, because we're losing them at a rapid rate of knots here tonight.
We are losing front wings left, right and centre. The front wing is just being destroyed around here, which doesn't necessarily surprise me. Spa is tricky in the dry, let alone in the wet. So, the guys that are managing to hold it around this track, as we're on board with Righty, and he's gone. He's retired.
Well, I've got to say, I reckon he saved himself some trouble there, as he was a lap down, wasn't he? So 11 drivers have started this race. We've lost Righty, Crumpkin, Cart Dude and Compact all on lap 1, and we've still got 5 laps to go. As Driving Pro into the pits again, he will move from 9th to 7th once he makes up that time. As we look back at the lead battle, then let's ride on board with Mighty Murph. Oh boy, it's so wet, I can't see a thing. And thank you, Zach, 1,000 subscribers. That's right, I passed that a couple of months ago, but thank you for subscribing. And boy, thank you to Zach there, who's sitting in his motel lobby somewhere in Turkey. I've got a joke about Turkey, but I don't think it's an appropriate time to say it, Zach. But look at that, just no grip at all. And you can see a racing line starting to appear, Brad. But I reckon you've had a few flashbacks, and these conditions are so tricky.
Oh, they're treacherous. I personally do not like the wet. It is unbearable at times, but these guys have managed to keep it on track despite a few moments here or there. I've noticed that there has been a position change that we haven't noticed, and that's Dean up in second now, with Jace dropping back ever so slightly.
Well, there we have it. So Mighty Murph still holds that lead, but we've missed something. I think we might have been looking at either one of... I think it might have been Righty in the pit lane or Driving Pro. We were looking at one of their pit stops. There's a new fastest lap there. HSV, a 2 minutes 3.627, I think it was there. Fastest lap of the race, lap 7 out of 11. And, well, we've gone well beyond the halfway point of this race. I've missed my moment, Brad. I wanted to say half the race gone and half still to go.
Oh, that's all good. We'll get it next week.
We'll get it next week. And as Brad says, Brad Morey, there's too many Brads here. He says the other commentator stole my effing name. And, yeah, that's unfortunate. As Zach says, I liked it. First person to like. Thank you, Zach. I'm sure he doesn't talk like an Italian, but anyway, I'm not sure where that came from, as there was a position change. We missed out on that, Bradley. But maybe Wilco made a mistake, because he's a couple of seconds behind Mighty Murph now, and he's a second and a bit off of HSV, but still very much in this race. And a man who's been all forgotten about there. That's not a bad livery, is it? The green, the red and the black. And 16.3 seconds further back. So the gap was 8 seconds. But you never know in these sorts of races, do you? You could see an accident. We could see the top 3 come together. Brad and Jacob, who knows, could do a Stephen Bradbury at the end.
I mean, anything is possible, especially after last week's race. I've got to say that I'm actually quite surprised that Jacob's handling the pressure of a wet race. He's in 4th place, and in a solid 4th place, because Hef's about a minute behind. So if he can, bring this home comfortably, he's going to get P4, which I'd say isn't too bad.
And I reckon you're right. I reckon you're spot on, Jacob, a man who I know very well, and we are great friends. We go right back to that first multiplayer lobby on release day at Monza. And Mighty Murph with a 2 minutes 2.498, as there's a yellow flag in Sector 3. I'm not sure who that is. We might try and just flick through the field to see who's in trouble.
driving pro. He was just moving out of the way so he could be left.
And Jacob into the pits now, so does he have damage, or is it just a mandatory pit stop for tyres? I don't think we have a mandatory pit stop, but never mind, it just could be a routine stop, I should say, as Brad Morey says this league needs one effing Brad Morey. I think that's what he's saying there. Sorry, I'm trying to read the comments and commentate the action as well. And now we've got a yellow flag in sectors 1, 2 and 3, and those marshals just working overtime as we see Jacob come out of the pits now. So that's put him about 30 seconds off the lead trio. And Alex just saying, I totally agree. And Brad saying, I'm telling you guys, I'm a star. As we see, well, Jacob going off there, and that's caught a few people out tonight, hasn't it, Eau Rouge?
It definitely has. Surprisingly, it's caught out a lot of people, and it wasn't just in, it's not just in the wet, it was also in the dry. Jacob's kind of gone with a bold strategy here and changed to the inters. I don't know if it was the right thing though, as he's spun into the wall, gone into the wall over Eau Rouge. So it may have just been too early, but it'll be interesting to see whether these top three will stick it out on the wets or whether they will come into the pit stop too. As I believe the Hef just come in for inters as well. So conditions are definitely changing, but will the top three make a gamble? I mean, they do have the time in hand to pit, but I mean, we'll just have to wait and see with only 3 laps remaining. So Murph's gone round and he's lost the front wing. Now we've got Dean in first place and Jacob's on fifth. I don't know what's happening with Trev. So, Trev, you there? So Dean's in the lead. Well, Jason 19 seconds back on inters, with Dean still on the wets. This race is going to get interesting. Trev.
Yep, can you hear me? Hello, come in, over.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
There we go, loud and clear, sorry.
I kind of panicked for a bit, but it's all good.
There we go. I think, no, I didn't have my microphone on mute. But anyway, that's something that happened to you, Bradley, a little bit earlier on this evening. But look at this. Lap 9 out of 11 in this race. The drivers, it's the changeover period. The moment when they've gone from the full wets to the intermediate tyres. You can see the skies clearing up as Wilco then 17 seconds behind Dean McKinnon. And now there is your leader on the screen at the moment. And is he going to come into the pits? No, he's not. He's continuing on, Brad. 17 seconds is the gap.
He's taken a gamble here, and I dare say that it may pay off because 17 seconds is a lot of time to try and catch up here. With only 2 laps remaining, can Jason close him in quick enough?
Well, we can see the times there. We've got the times on your screen. We might even just... what do we got? Pit stops there. 2 pit stops each for Hef and Driving Pro. 1 stop for Wilco, Mighty Murph and Jacob. And this man on your screen yet to make a pit stop. Like you said, he's taking a gamble. And that gap less than 16 seconds. Could we be seeing a Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen fight back in the final couple of laps of this race? But you can see there the Hef 2 in P5. He's jumped up 6 positions as Zach is in Antalya. Antalya, hello there. I'm not sure what the joke is there. Maybe it's a Turkish thing. I'm not sure, Brad. But can this man hold off on the penultimate lap of this crazy, crazy race. Look at that. He's battling the car at the moment. The gap is 15.2 seconds. Now it's down to 14. This is absolutely incredible, and I've got no fingernails left. And, 14.7 seconds. He's taken 2 seconds out of him on this lap alone, Brad.
He's catching him at a rate of knots, and I believe that it has the potential to pay off. As you see it now, like, it is just closing down. 13 seconds. Now, I don't know, if Dean pits now, he will lose the Grand Prix. So, he's got to stay out. For Dean to win the Grand Prix, he needs to stay out. Will Jason catch him in enough time? I don't know. We just have to see whether Dean's tyres will fall off the cliff or not.
As Hef setting a quick lap there, so definitely the right move, moving to intermediate tyres now. As HSV's just got 1 lap left of this race. 7 kilometres, 4.352 miles as he's coming up to some traffic. And you're right, Brad, I don't think he can make a pit stop. And the car just all over the place as he's coming up to, I think it's Driving Pro, who's already a lap down. So I think this might put him 2 laps down as he starts his last lap of the race. And this is not going to help him at all. Dean McKinnon, the man from Parramatta. He may not actually live in Parramatta, but he does to me, sitting there with his Cheezels. And boy, the pressure is on. It's less than 10 seconds now between HSV, who stayed out on the wet tyres, as Mighty Murph just into the... We've got a sub 2 minute lap time as well, a 1:59.071. And the last lap of this race just... 2, 3, 5 kilometres separate Dean from what will be a sensational victory here tonight at Spa. And not Parramatta. Alex, I'm not sure where he lives. Let us know, but it's not Parramatta. But I know nothing about New South Wales, as you can see, being a Victorian boy as HSV. That gap down to 6.7 seconds, Brad, as somebody's off. Ooh. Might have been Driving Pro. They're getting out of the way, but we're going to stick with Wilco. The charge is on here. And
5.8 seconds.
There we go, down to 5.8. This is the final lap. He can visually see the gap closing as he comes around now, the final part of this lap. Just a few corners, you can see Dean there further up the road. We're going to stick with this camera. We'll flick back to Dean for the last couple of corners, but Alex saying Dean lives in Padstow, and all aboard to Padstow Station. But here we go. Dean now, can he hold the lead? What a race we're seeing. If you want an exciting F1 race, you just need to add water. But Dean, here we go, on screen now. He's running low on fuel. He's running low on, he's got plenty of battery life left. Not that it matters in these wet conditions. He comes through the final corner. The gap less than 3 seconds now between him and Wilco. He took a gamble from staying out. From pitting, I should say. He stayed on the full wets, through the bus stop, out of the final corner, and Dean McKinnon crosses the line. You can see how close it is, but he takes victory here tonight in Belgium. What a result for Dean. And Wilco there, a close second, and he just couldn't quite get the job done. And I reckon it would have only taken 1 more lap, Brad, and he would have lost that lead.
Definitely 1 more lap. I've got to say, if there was 1 more lap, that was a complete masterstroke by Jason. Complete masterstroke. Dean, oh man, what? Brave, very brave to keep the wets on with 2 laps to go. With Jason chasing it for a rate of knots. I've got to say, I feel sorry for Murph, who spun when the tyres were kind of going off and it was time to come into. So he lost out there. He'll probably be a bit dirty with himself, but all around, still a good race. Still a quite entertaining race. So
not a bad race, as we see Jacob there finishing in 4th place. Now the Hef, who's the only driver to still be on the lead lap, believe it or not, as Driving Pro is currently 2 laps down, so he would have finished the race already, of course, as the Hef comes through the final couple of corners, and he takes P5. He started P11, and he finishes P5, so a good result there in the end for Hef, who wasn't sure whether he was even going to make this race tonight, given his shitly slow internet speeds. 5 gigabytes, of course, the new update, but he made it, as Zach has voted for the best livery, as we see Jason Wilkinson and Wilco. He said we've got to have the podium interviews, Brad, if he is on the podium. So they're the rules. So we will be having podium interviews tonight as we see the three drivers on the podium.
Pretty sure it was in the contract that he's hooked up. So, yeah.
Well, fantastic stuff there. Your top three. Dean McKinnon, we'll hear from Dean a little bit later, but he's going to be very happy. The man from, where was he from again? Padstow. Thank you, Alex, for getting those comments in as we recap the final results here from P4 to P1. HSV winning this race tonight, a no-stop race. And, boy, it was just by the skin of his sack in the end, wasn't it? 1.7 seconds ahead of Wilco. And you can see the lap time there. Fastest lap for Mighty Murph there in P3. Jacob doing very nicely indeed on a one-stopper there, going from P3 to P4 in the end. And Hef, the final driver on the lead lap ahead of Driving Pro. 2 laps down, and we lost Rick Oztech, Righty, Crumpets in 9th. Cart Dude and Compact barely didn't even make it through Eau Rouge, I don't think, before they had it coming together. But what a race, Brad, as we wait for the drivers to join our post-race podium interviews.
It was an unbelievable race. Carnage everywhere. The guys that were able to keep it on the track, you know, they prospered, and then coming out for victory with a bold and brave move to stay out on the wets when it was definitely time for intermediates, as we saw Jason catch, I believe it was 8.
And I'm not too sure, Brad, whether you can invite the top 3 finishers. Yep, we'll go back to the lobby screen, so you're not seeing the dreaded blue screen of death for everybody watching the live stream. But, yep, we're going to just, I think you can invite people to the party, Brad. So while we wait for that to happen, like we said, we'll just recap the results there. HSV winning ahead of Jason Wilkinson in 2nd. Mighty Murph, the Kiwi, who was leading for the majority of the race, had a little bit of a moment there. Still ended up in P3. Then it was Jacob getting a strong P4.
Oh, my God.
And, well, here he is. A big Kia Ora to you. As we might go 1, 2, 3 as we wait for our race winner to join the party. Dino, yep. Mate, you did it in the end. You stayed out on the wet tyres, mate. Talk us through those hectic final couple of laps.
Oh, it was slow as shit, mate. I had nothing, and then I was getting blocked by a lapped car for a good amount of it, so I was a bit nervous there.
Well, I was.
One more lap.
Yeah, all right. We'll get to you. Wilco. He's up and about, Wilco. But well, Dino, you seem to encounter. I think it might have been Driving Pro there, who was a couple of laps down on that final lap. So, how much time did that end up costing you? You reckon, roughly?
Oh, maybe 2 seconds, I reckon.
Well, I reckon you needed every bit of those 2 seconds, mate. But when did you make that call to stay out? Did you see everyone else coming in? I think you had 17 seconds up your sleeve before those final couple of laps.
I was like, I definitely didn't have enough margin, so I would stay out and risk it.
I mean, that was so sick.
I don't know if Alan was going to pit if he didn't meet the fence, but...
well, mate, you got the job done, but you ended up 1.7 seconds. You got the job done, mate. Congratulations.
Cheers, mate.
As we move from...
last thing, a big shout out to Alan for leading the race for that one in the wet. That was a good effort.
Oh, yeah, that was like us 3 had a mid-battle. How many
moments
did we have?
It's the curse. The guy leading in the wet's done something and hit the wall with a couple of laps to go 2 weeks in a row now.
Yeah.
We've been reliably informed that you don't live in Parramatta. I'm not sure why I kept saying that, Dean, but anyway, Padstow?
You can believe that if you're like, fuck, you're a dickhead, aren't you?
Okay, right.
I think his interview's been cut.
Right, this interview is over. Drop the microphone as we move along to the man in P2. P2, great result. You stayed calm, you stayed focused, your head was down. Wilco, talk us through your race, brother. We're done with you, Dean. Now, Wilco, talk us through your race.
Oh, that was fucking crazy. That was unreal. Like those first few laps, once Alan got a bit of a lead, I sort of caught him back up, brought Dean with me, and I went for the higher wing. I accidentally left Parc Ferme off, sorry. So I'm like, fuck this, I'm changing my wings when it was heavy rain. And yeah, that's why I was side by side and just Alan just had a bit less wing, and yeah, that was crazy. I had so many moments going through a Rouge. That last one when Dean got me, I was a millimetre away from the wall. It was really crazy. And then, yeah, probably like lap 7 or 8, I'm like, oh, I've got to pit because these tyres are screwed. And lucky I had Jacob in the party with me, and he's like, I'm pitting. And he got to the first corner, going through a Rouge, and he's like, nah, these are way better. So then I pitted that lap. So nearly another couple of corners, and would have been game on.
That's very interesting because Jacob actually come out of the pits and had a moment.
Yeah, he said he hit the wall. He didn't tell me that till a couple corners after, but no, he did say the slipper in the first couple corners, and then yeah, he started gaining time through Camel Straight and all that stuff, and that was enough for me.
Well, Wilco, you were so close there. I don't think you would have
But
even...
no cigar.
I don't think you even needed another lap, mate. If there was another... Sorry, I've got this English tourist who's based in a hotel lobby in Turkey spamming the stream, Zach. I'm not sure what's going on there. But anyway, as we move right along to one of our favourites, a big Kia Aura to our next man finishing in P3. It was a bloody good effort in the end to finish P3. But I've got to say, was that the one that got away, Murph?
So I'm just back from changing my diaper after that. That was probably the one that got away, I would say.
It's become a running trend in these social races.
As Dean pointed out to me, though, it was probably a very beneficial thing because if I wasn't planning on staying I'm pitting. So if we both stayed in this battle, Jake's probably got the pair of us. So in hindsight, it could have been probably a good thing for Dean at least.
Cheers, mate.
How was the visibility in those first few laps? You could not see shit.
You think that was bad for you? I was behind 2 people. I couldn't see a thing.
So cool.
All I could see was name tags and the flashing red lights.
Yeah.
Do you both want to shut the fuck up and let me have a turn?
How good is this? This is like
watching. Stop swearing.
This is like the drivers. We apologise for the colourful language, but this is like the driver's cool down room, isn't it, Brad? You know, we see you came at me like a torpedo. I was racing. But as Murph, we'll just let you add some final closing comments on your third place tonight. Anything further you'd like to add before we shut down the stream?
No, I think that's it, the one that got away. I'll leave it at that.
And could you say goodbye in New Zealander for us on the way out?
Not just a way to shove it.
Being serious.
No, I don't even know what it is, to be honest.
Okay, well that was
a fake Kiwi.
Well, thanks. That was how good was that? Thanks for nothing. No, Murph, congratulations again, mate. You the one that got away, like we said, but still P3 in those conditions was a good result tonight. Congratulations.
Cheers, guys.
All right, there it is. Your top 3 finishes. It was HSV as what is it now? Which one's this?
What are we gonna do next week?
I don't know.
Something.
Maybe we should...
Brad, how'd you go with commentating? Brad, like it? Want to do it again next week?
I don't mind doing it. Again,
alright, so we're doing, I guess...
Doing it.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll flip a coin later and decide what we're doing next week. Anyway, go.
Alright, we will watch this space. We'll keep you posted. Big thank you to everyone watching the live stream tonight. Zach, who is tuning in from a hotel lobby in Turkey on holiday. So, wow, we're broadcasting you some rather interesting places. He says that this stream deserves more than 7 viewers. And he says, make it family friendly. He goes, make it family friendly. I'm 12, so boy, it's going to be awkward. If my wife wants to know where I am, I'll just say I'm talking to a 12-year-old English boy holidaying in Turkey in the office with the door closed. But that is all we've got time for.
Did an autism kid last week? 12-year-old this week. What's next?
Wait, who's the autism one? Was that Julian?
King Julian. Alex as well, who's saying Alex, who still thinks Bradley Marshall is Brody. But anyway, so thanks.
I'm told now. Get over it.
It does sound kind of like Brody. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's
That's good because
It's that Brad didn't crash out. I can't even talk anymore. Wrap it up.
Brody didn't even do a lap in quali and then crashed at turn 2. So.
All right, that is all we've got time for. Tune in next week. I'm not sure what we'll be doing or where we will be, but 8 p.m. Australian.
You'll be in your computer chair commentating, not having any fun.
Yep, I'll be back in the chair talking to 12. I'll be back in the chair talking to 12-year-old boys. But we are just about out of time here tonight. Thank you, Zach, for the sub, and Alex, and everybody else whose names I can't remember.
Alan?
And if you want to play the game, you gotta make the.
No, not that. He said 12-year-olds. I didn't know Riley was going to be viewing. But
there we go. Boy, how good's this? All right, we are just about out of time. We'll leave it there. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to tune in again next week, wherever we are, whatever we're doing. It'll be live and exclusive on the Kidbyers channel from 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Time. That's all we've got time for. Be kind to one another. We'll see you again next week.
Interrupted again.
Bye for now.
Y'all just couldn't